But I want to talk about the art style.
It's really interesting to see someone as dedicated with Araki. Like, he's done so much for this to be so recognized.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Gateway to Anime. How are you all? What's going on? We are the podcast where we bring you the best new anime as well as deep dive into the classics. I'm your host, Sam, and I am joined by my sister, Charlie. Charlie, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm a little bit nervous about this recording because I feel like I'm being quite vulnerable here and just admitting something that I probably shouldn't admit on my anime YouTube podcast channel. But there's a couple of things, as you know, we had an episode recently where we did probably arguably the other big shame, which was the One Piece and admitting that we're not super into it. We got a friend on who told us about it and kind of sold One Piece to us, which worked, and now I'm watching it. That being said, someone sold Boruto to me, so I'm an easy sell.
Easy target.
I'm excited today to talk about something that I'm shamefully not across and would love to know more about and get into. So I'm excited that we have someone who is a bit of an expert about it, Sam, but I'll let you introduce.
Well, yes, we are very fortunate today to be joined by YouTuber Kaleb I.A. And to say that they understand a fair bit about JoJo's is probably selling it short. So Kaleb, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a great environment. Y'all are so professional and everything. It looks great.
Thank you.
I'm really enjoying it.
Well, thank you so much. So as I mentioned before, very much a JoJo's channel, not just JoJo's on the channel, but you want to talk to people a little bit about the channel, how you got started, and then we can talk about how you got into anime in general before we get to the big crux of the episode. So yes, how did you start this channel and what was your journey into anime?
Oh, of course. So YouTube, I'm probably one of the oldest people to be on YouTube, I'd say, and not in terms of age, but just how long I've been on, because I was there since the website first started. But at the same time, I'm just like a young kid, so I've always been really into YouTube. So I took it upon myself after. There's just two other channels that I've made, but those are for Pokemon and all. And I finally made one where I'm gonna okay, this is me and I'm going to talk about it. This is gonna be so great. I'm gonna talk about all types of stuff. But there was so much, I'd say, trial and error in general. But JoJo was one where I'm like, you know what? All my friends have recommended me to talk about JoJo, and the scene was relatively small. We had Julian, which is X-Forts. He was there before me, and we also had Many, not the bad guy. We had NZ, which had been an older JoJo person there, and it was just so new to it, and I got accustomed to it. I got accustomed to the environment, the people. They were just so nice for the most part, and I had been a part of other communities, Dragon Ball and all, and it's clean, but the JoJo people just had a tie to each other so well because it's such a niche anime, yet it's still so large at the same time.
Yeah. What was your gateway anime? Like, what did you mentioned Pokemon? Was that it?
What's actually, so my gateway anime, I remember this, and it's so wild because my family told me all the time, they're like, Kaleb, you were 3 years old. I don't believe that. But I had babysitters and they put on Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon was my first anime.
Hell yeah.
And then Inuyasha was in the same run. And I was getting rapid fire hit with these. My babysitter liked a lot of stuff. So it was in order: Sailor Moon, then Inuyasha, and then Cowboy Bebop, and then Yu Yu Hakusho. It was all the stuff that you would normally see it like on Toonami, but I was just getting hit with all this at once. And then Pokemon after that. So that was like my beginning.
So your babysitter sounds like someone I want to hang out with.
Yeah. They're so great. They're still very close in the community. I just love the whole family oriented, because I'll tell you this for background. Family and community adjacent, they're all Ethiopian. So it just became such a very popular thing within our small group. Like anime didn't really, I guess, exist. For the most part, we love Sonic. You know, like I'm American. I'm born in America, but our Ethiopian community, you know, anime is not really like, we don't really think about it as at all. So it's just to see that's how we started out, and there's more and more now. I just can't believe it. Like, and how big it's gotten. JJK, all that. Oh my god, it's so crazy.
It's quite extraordinary, really, and it's so fascinating. Yeah, how and I'm actually like, and I won't derail this, but I'm actually doing a master's thesis at the moment about how like anime was adopted into Australia and how streaming services have changed it, and it is so fascinating looking through the history, and that is so interesting as well, like how. And whenever I talk to people about it, like these small little communities that, and it was usually like a friend, like a babysitter in your situation. For me, it was a friend of a friend who gave me a VCD stack this big of Naruto, you know, back in the day, and watching all these kids shows on TV when I was a kid, too young to understand that it was Japanese. And not until I saw Naruto subbed instead of dubbed on television in American accents that I realized what I was watching was Japanese. And it's extraordinary how far it's come.
Yeah.
And is now, and as we see with JoJo's, which we'll get to, has just exploded, and there's, you know, huge mainstream crossovers. It's been amazing to watch.
Yeah. With JoJo, I think it's genuinely so shocking because how big it was. I would say this, in terms of my entire life, the first time I came into contact with someone who told me about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was in about 7th grade. And this was one kid. After that, I still hadn't seen anything about JoJo's all the way until someone at TwitchCon in like 2018, 2019 was all like, oh yeah, JoJo. Or no, Anime Expo. It was 2018. They're like, oh yeah, JoJo's big now. And I'm like, it's such a stark difference because I went, this is where Golden Wind had been announced. It was that Anime Expo. And I had gone essentially my whole life thinking that, like, oh man, I just like, this is such a good like anime, apparently. But because I got into it around like 14 years old, but I'd seen so many people be like, oh man, it's, like, I don't know, I'm not really a JoJo's person. I just can't get behind it. The translations are bad. Which, to be fair, that didn't help it. That was a large thing about the manga back then. But with the anime popping off in 2012 and then on, I think the true peak point in where JoJo's reached general popularity past like a lot of what it, because even Star Wars Crusaders was huge, but I think Diamond was Unbreakable was the like point.
Right.
Because Crunchyroll was advertising it like pretty effectively. And I think that we also had really good fan translated stuff, and the quality was really well. So it was just a good entry point for JoJo's, and that's kind of why we saw so many people with Golden Wind. I'd say it took great advantage of the community being where it was at, because like this is where we need to essentially. Have you played Minecraft? We have to bone meal this. Like we have to raise this. It has to grow. This is the exact point. It's gotten to this. Like this is the time that we pop.
So you first found it in the 7th grade, and did you start reading the manga, or did you start with the anime?
I tried reading the manga in 7th grade. And I was just completely unsuccessful. I'm like, where do I look? Where does JoJo's? Where is he? I don't understand. and my friends explained it to me, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is how I read it. And it's like in Russian, and I'm like, oh bro, I don't think I can help here. Like this is I'm really far out into this. Like I don't think this is for me right now. So I only got in, I got in around like 14, 15, and this was because a person who was originally a JoJo tuber, their name had been Kami. I understand it's like a Dragon Ball name, but it was them. A good friend I had, Halu Champ, he's a Pokemon YouTuber. They both told me, they're like, hey Kaleb, you know, like you talk a lot about Naruto and Dragon Ball scaling in the calls. Have you tried JoJo? There's nothing really going on with that. I feel like that'd be something you'd be interested in. I was like, did the translations get better, bro? I don't know if I'm gonna do that. They're like, no. There's an anime now, and I'm like, okay. I'll go into that. That's fine.
So for people who don't know JoJo's, and I'm kind of putting us in this, I know, for context, I have watched the first like maybe half of the first season of the anime. And I'll be honest with you, I fell off because I was sort of like, I didn't dislike it or anything, but I was sort of like, oh yeah. I was like, is this what the hype's about? But I'm
But we know, like, I know that it gets like, you know, what I want to talk about so much is like things like stands that aren't introduced until later, like the stuff that I know about and the things that I've seen, designs I've seen, villains I've seen from later seasons, and I'm like, that looks so great.
Yes.
But when I started season 1, I was kind of like, I think I don't know why I fell off, but I should try it again. I know you just got to push through. I'm sure it's like worth it in the long run. Not that season 1's bad. I just like, I think it's quite different from what I gather from the rest of the series. Is that right?
Yeah, I think definitely this is the thing about entering JoJo's from the get-go. So at its basis, this is what Araki himself has said. He said JoJo's is an ode to life. So when I think about that quote, I look to first Phantom Blood, and Phantom Blood is this Victorian era part where I understand how this is an ode to life, because a lot of fiction, like he even goes into more like stuff before then, but there is a lot of work that we have seen throughout our lives that have been based in that time, like a lot of authors that had been popular in that time, and something like Dracula being like one of the greatest pieces of fiction ever. That was this exact thing. Like Araki's like, okay, so this is what we're gonna have as a basis. So in every part is this sort of I love you, thank you for being a part of my life part, everything. So for part 1 we have Dracula in that time, and then it echoes sort of this Fist of the North Star era, because that's the exact era that we are in time. JoJo, like part 1 is a reflection of the 80s, where they have like you're still having all these old things going on back then, from like they had the old Frankenstein, old Dracula, Black Lagoon monster, all that. It's like, okay, so that's this part. And then we go on to Battle Tendency. This is a reflection of like Indiana Jones, you know, and that was a huge powerhouse in that time. So it's like, okay, we have Indiana Jones. We're gonna still throw in some Sherlock Holmes here. We're gonna mix in a lot of my Fist of the North Star stuff. Like Araki's becoming more of his own self in this case. He's like, hold on, I'm gonna make my own Dragon Ball. I'm gonna make my own Fist of the North Star. Like this is gonna get to this thing. And I think that's where so many people are like, oh, part 3, because part 3, he had been doing these odes to fiction, but this is where the first time he's like, you know what? There is a lot of journeys, like in terms of books, there's like Around the World in 100 days?
80 days, yeah.
Yeah. And we have the Odyssey, and we have a lot of these grand scheme journeys. And I think this is where Araki truly was like, okay, a lot of these other mangaka have their things and where their tournaments, you know, their focused areas, the hero's journey and all. This is going to be my thing. I'm gonna give y'all everything that I have in this specific part, because I've traveled to Egypt. It's beautiful. I've learned so much about the world because, you know, he has more money in his pocket now. He is able to do so much. And that's why part 3 is so loved. And it was so popular in its time when he's doing the manga, because people are like, this is a journey around the world. Like he's going to real places that we can go to. And I did a lot of research for that time in JoJo. There's people were legit very inspired at that point. So after this point, you're going to get more stuff like this happened in the 90s. This was the time. It's like everything is a reflection of their time. So it's just Araki using this lineage. You could say something like, not the Addams Family or the Simpsons or something, but just the idea of just a lineage that isn't exactly picked by fate. The world itself is very important. It's just that it's considering, like, imagine yourself and your bloodline and what it led to you existing in this time. What were they like? How powerful was their journey? What did they go through? And he's showing that. It's sort of like the human condition, but I'd say more focused on the experience and less on what afflicts us too much.
That's a very good sell.
Yeah, I was about to be like, I'm gonna actually just go and start JoJo's right now.
You pretty much won us over very early in this podcast.
Hook,
But
line, sinker. I'm in.
I'm happy to do so.
That's very good. So yeah, something I did read was the intergenerational storytelling of JoJo's is something very unique to it, right? And I saw that Araki was very inspired by Roots, the saga of an American family, which is a novel all about, again, intergenerational novel, and then also East of Eden. So
It's my favorite book. So this is just like,
Is it really?
John Steinbeck. Yeah, it's so good. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, JoJo's. I'm into this.
But yeah, it's really interesting. So I guess, can you just explain a little bit about the plot? So obviously, we don't need to dive too, because obviously it changes so much, and just a little bit about like the beginning and then the intergenerational nature of each part, so to speak.
Oh yeah, so we truly start off with one man he helps another man who's in a really bad position. He's just, I've been hurt. My wife, where is she? I have a kid. Please help me. And with this one decision, like sort of being indebted to someone, the whole thing branches out, because then after that, we get to who we know, Jonathan Joestar and Dio Brando. And because of this debt from the father, now we have an access point where someone, this sort of like tale of classism, we have someone who had been dealing with poverty and what that can turn you into, like essentially the way that you have to fiend for yourself and you have to lash out at certain people who are like trying to intrude in your space. And this is against someone who had been raised with a silver spoon, and he has like resolve, he has conviction, but he doesn't have that tough exterior, and it makes him weaker for it. So it's about, okay, the Dio in this case, I'm gonna be greedy, I'm gonna sap you of all that you have. And Jonathan's like, no, you know what? Regardless of this, I'm trying to make it easy with you. You're my brother. I want to say that I love you, man, but you're really pushing me. And it's sort of like everyone is getting it's like a blacksmith. Like, okay, hey, this person, this sword's getting stronger, but because you made this sword stronger, the other one's gonna get stronger too. And they're just a constant clashing of heads, sort of like Goku and Vegeta. But that's what it first starts out. And I actually really do like that it's a tale of class, essentially, the first part, because it's a good basis of what the rest of JoJo is going to be like.
That part of it did really interest me. And like Dio is without doubt one of the great antagonists in all anime, right? Like he is famous. Even those of us who've never really watched the show, you know Dio, you know, and you know what he looks like. You know, his design is so iconic, the stances, the poses, which we'll get to that soon.
Yeah.
But it's that part of it did very much interest me. But what's fascinating is how the power system changes, because you've mentioned before the third season, which is Stardust Crusaders, which is when the stand power system is introduced. Because initially it's Dio takes the mask and becomes a vampire, and then there's the breathing technique, right? So can you talk a bit about that, and then how that sort of changed into the stands?
Oh, for sure. So we start off with, this is a vampire, and vampires are obviously very much stronger compared to humans. So introducing that, Araki has to come through with a power system that can meet the level of a vampire. So what we have is called Ripple, and what they say is Hamon. That's mainly what it's said as in just like the traditional Japanese, but it translates to Ripple. We use it's a solar energy based attack. Like it's sort of bringing out all that, because the sun affects everything, obviously, right? And the sun is sort of I think of it as like, we have life because we get our grass, the cows eat the grass, people eat the cows, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a relationship with life itself. And being a vampire is to be undead. So that's what the first initial clash is about. It's all like, oh, okay, life versus death. Like, this is what JoJo is originally. And then we go on to part 2, which is similar, but then we're thinking more about what the vampire stuff is. Sometimes it's not really just vampires. It's like a full-on accessibility to the sun itself, excessive, and like sun itself is, you know, life. So we're doing a lot with that type of symbolism, but I think there was a ceiling for it. There was a ceiling for it because, like, how many more we made Hamon do a lot of stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Araki totally wanted to do something like stands before. He just didn't have the idea yet.
Yeah.
But you know, Hamon can do a lot of things. You can transfer it because it's an energy thing. You can transfer it through the water. It's conductive. You can kind of make it do stuff automatically. Like if you wanted to wash your car without washing your car, you could manage that. It's like we're doing a lot of things with solar energy. I kind of want these developments personally, but I'm just not, you know, not seeing these results. So stands was where it's all like, okay, I'm gonna get your personality first, because that's what stands are you essentially. They're your spirit. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna get this person's personality. What does this say about them? Someone who is, you have someone who's stoic in his demeanor. You have Jotaro. He's like, okay, I'm stoic, but I care quietly, and I'm just not easy to be pushed around. I don't waver. I don't buckle. I try not to be in fear ever, because what is there for me to fear? And because of that, because of his conviction, because of his resolve, it amounted to an extremely strong stand that is as strong as his like mental fortitude. And other people get their stands, but it's like it's so interesting to see how it'll connect with someone's personality, because it's all like, oh, this stand just hates you. You know, it's on your back and it's whispering how much like it wants you to die. And then you find out the personality of the person was just like, oh, he's a realtor. And it's like, oh, what kind of dialogue is this? I feel like Araki's trying to say more so than what we understand. We have all types of stuff like that.
Right.
There's a debt stand. There are multiple guns. We have swords. We have fish. And it's like, okay, personality, but like it's in there, you know, that you can make the connection. I don't know where a personality connects to like the ability to stop time. Like that's a whole different thing for me, but that's you know.
So in terms of like, it reminds me of the series Persona then, in terms of fighting ability in that way. I mean, I think apparently I read that people said that Persona ripped off JoJo's because JoJo's was first as a manga. So yeah, it's interesting.
Oh yeah, that's a popular one.
Yeah.
Well,
They do get it pretty well though. I give respect to Persona. I haven't played too much. I've seen the stuff and I'm like, oh, you know, they kind of got the right idea.
Yeah, it definitely feels. I mean, it's such an influential show, of course, and even
for
with
sure.
the breathing, which you can obviously see probably influencing Demon Slayer and its power system. With the Hamon, and then of course, obviously, yeah, Persona massively. There's so much there, but I want to talk about the art style, because I think if no one knows anything about JoJo's, they know the memes, and as a result, that's the art style, right? And I read that Araki heavily influenced by Gauguin, the French post-impressionist, which I find really interesting because a lot of Gauguin's work was all about like quite realistic drawings, but then very stylized color. Which I think obviously you can see a bit in Araki's designs. And I mean, it's just such a fascinating, it's not something I understand enough yet, but I know that there's a huge connection between Japan and France in their art style, because when France first were introduced to the woodblock prints, the ukiyo-e, that hugely influenced the Impressionists. And then you go and you see all this influence all through the 80s, again with, I mean, how much Gauguin influenced Araki, but then of course you've got Mobius and Miyazaki, who were huge fans of each other. And then even up to today, you've got Expedition 33, the JRPG-inspired French game, which is just blowing up, talk of Game of the Year. I find that connection so fascinating. But yeah, I guess without taking this off on a tangent, which I've already done, but I think, yeah, talk about the art style.
Yeah, the art style, I'd say that around that time, because they were a bit after a lot of stuff kind of looked like that one soccer comic. It was that and Devilman. A lot of stuff kind of looked like that around that time.
Yeah.
So I think there was this huge. It was like a renaissance, because you had Kenshiro, you had Dragon Ball, and you had JoJo, and it's all with this. You know what? We're gonna push more into being anatomically correct again, because I think that there was a thing, like we always go between that. It's extremely stylized, then we're gonna get really real, extremely stylized, then really real. And I think that's where Araki was, but he's one of the people to see where it's like, I want to push my realism, I want to push my ability to portray life, but I also want to push this exaggeration and see like how wild can these designs get while still looking pretty real, you know? Especially with a lot of the stands that we see in like they're humanoid and all, but he doesn't want to just be entirely human. The whole idea with JoJo's and his art style is kind of where it's like, you want to meet this connect between IRL mysticism and, you know, like, oh, what, like, I wonder what's going on with the world. Like you want to have like this idea of what is mysterious and all the X-Files type of stuff, but he's pushing it to where it's still, you still see so much of this, all these human depictions, and they're just so well drawn. And all of his colorings, you'll see with his colorings, they're so like saturated, or they just have really good idea of tone and color coding and all that, because he's continuously pushing the envelope on what he's capable of. I think that's one huge thing that I really love about Araki as an artist and his style, is because with every part of JoJo, you're all like, I get how the last part was this, but I see where this is going from. Like, and that's just him in the manga regard, right? Because if you're going to see stuff like in the anime, that isn't exactly him, but you can still see that they had connections with the manga. Like part four doesn't look like part 3. If you go watch the anime, part 4 doesn't look like part 3. But if you read the manga, Josuke looks just like Jotaro. Like in the early areas, you're like, this is part 3 too. Like this is what this is right now. But we see the anime with what it looks like nearing the end, and even then I'm just like, I love the anime for sure, but Araki's style and what you truly appreciate, like all the dynamic shots, especially where he's pushing perspective and just doing things that you just normally don't see. At the same time, you do see a lot of like really good manga, but it's like this person for this time, and even now he's done it so well. And I think it's honestly staggering, because you have to, like, part 9 it's going to take a while for y'all to get there, because in terms of reading, but to see where this artist lands and how much he's pushed the boundaries for what we can see in a manga. Plus he's doing it monthly, because it's all like, takes a lot out of you. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. There's how he draws the stands and all, and how he does certain, it's weird to, I don't know what to say, but things like motorcycles, for example. And it's like, you have to study this a lot to be able to do this. And it's really interesting to see someone as dedicated with Araki, and it reflects so much, because people be like, oh man, you know, the JoJo art style. Like he's done so much for this to be so recognized.
Yeah, as somebody who's never, I've only seen a bit of the first season, but like I think in terms of art style, it is truly one of the most unique in manga history. It's like just the most recognizable. Like you see it on a page and you just go, I know that's a JoJo's character. I know that's a JoJo's frame.
Yeah.
And that's so exciting. I love the art style. It's another reason why I want to get into it, because I think it is unique and it is drawing on those influences, and it does look quite different to a lot of different manga. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I really want to ask, because obviously, famously, JoJo's, the only thing I know is, is this a JoJo's reference as a meme? And also just the poses. Terms of just like, can you talk to me a bit about how that is it just how that kind of plays into the show and the manga? Is it just a style, or like there's a poses, like, is that a part of the power system? I hope it is. I don't know.
It is an exclamation mark. That is the best way to say these poses. I love that it is how Araki will, start a page, finish a chapter. It's just something like, or a character's introduction. It's to truly just get everything that you could possibly want to know about someone in one single frame. I think that's what's truly beautiful because he had to. Araki most likely he owns a lot of magazines and a lot of fashion inspiration.
Yes.
So you're going to see a lot of dynamic shots in JoJo, but I think what it takes a lot to find the shots that he wants to use. I think that's what's so interesting because if you see a lot of references, you'd be like, "Wow, this was for like a cashmere sweater. This is this this pose. This was kind of an ad." But he showed it. He used this specifically for when a person is about to like, you can't threaten my friend's life, and it's like, wow, this is. Where'd you get this one? And they're doing stuff that like I've not seen people do in normal pictures in like Instagram or something like that. There's I haven't seen there's this polar pose where he's essentially holding up his whole body with his elbow and he's laying on the floor and reaching out towards the camera. I had seen Attica had recreated the photo, rest in peace. And just the fact that I've seen I'm like, this requires so much of a human. It's sort of like JoJo's is like the fashion version of Baki, because we're all like, I don't think that's physically possible. JoJo's is all like, I don't think that's physically possible. Plus, that sweater looks great on them. Like
because that's interesting because I did read he was obviously very influenced, as you mentioned before, by Fist of the North Star in the 80s. So the first 3 seasons are very much about the muscular male characters. And then from there, he really transitioned more into the more fashion aesthetic, which is...
Oh, yeah. He's making them a lot better proportioned to what people normally look like. I think that's the thing, because... originally very exaggerated. We have Jonathan, who's like a brunette Broly. Like he's huge. Mm-hmm. Like I've never seen. So I don't know what exercise he's doing for his quads to get this big. Like this is crazy. But you have 1, 2, and 3, and they're all like they're huge. They're jacked. But I think the third manga. That's the thing, because we see parts 1, 2, and 3 anime wise, and they're all huge. The funny thing is with parts 1, 2, and 3 manga wise, you can see that ever since Phantom Blood, the guys have been like, oh, okay, let's tone it down, like on the roids, like let's chill out here. We're like I think I can be a science-based lifter instead. Like this is better for my physique. So someone like Joseph Joestar actually does look pretty good proportionally. And then Jotaro in the manga, genuinely he does look like a 17-year-old kid. Like he's like, I'm kind of tall. That's about it. But the manga just makes him huge, and that's why when going on into part 4, you're all like, oh man, there's such like a large difference. That's why a lot of like anime watchers only, they're all like, I can't believe JoJo, they're making the men are small. And I'm like, that's not really they kind of want to be more normal. I don't think Jonathan wanted to have these large of lats in his head. Like it's this is an artistic decision by the author. Like, well, I think we're gonna understand what's going on here. But we push so much in the fashion regard. Originally in parts 1 through 3, Araki is trying to flavor stuff that we already know. So it's all like, okay, we can make Joseph look like a pilot, but like, what if he was like a cool pilot? Like let's do like a little bit more, like a little saturated green. Like, that doesn't really happen too much. And, so the characters just have certain things like, oh, okay, this is going to make him pop here. This is going to do this and that. But I think like middle of part 3, I'd say to part 4, Araki truly understands where it's all like, oh, wait, but this is my manga. I don't have to abide by anything. And so that's why we have Dio to where he is a large individual and he's brolic, but the design is like, whoa, this guy, he looks great. He's ready to go to a nightclub. He's so fashionable right now. He's here in Cairo. He looks great for himself.
I love it when mangakas are fashion inspired, because it reminds me of Bleach as well with Tai.
Oh yes,
because I always like, wow, you're a Soul Reaper, but wow, like looking good.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
where'd you get that jacket from?
Drip.
Like nice.
I really do love that, especially with I think Kubo in that case. I think there's a lot of the mangas that we have. Like we had the Death Note manga author, where he brought his stuff back, and it was like, oh, this is with the times. And I love that everyone does that. Like I understand that we're telling a story about the times. Like you can say your manga's from 2000s, but it's like, hey, look, are they randomly wearing a football jersey with jeans on? Because if they're not, this isn't the 2000s. Like you kind of need. I want to see some 2000 stuff. You can't just use it as a title. Like, come on. And I really like that. You see that with Araki, and I think it kind of set the precedent for a lot of the authors, because they're like, wait, yeah, you're right. I understand. Like, you know, manga creating, a lot of times they have like a traditional process with a lot of the authors and keeping to the paper, but certain things like pushing the envelope and being like, oh yeah, I can give him a fitted hat, I can give him a snapback, I can give him Jordans, I could do whatever I want here. I can look at Air here, you know? I'm like, I can do whatever I want with manga. And I really love it. It made everything just feel more connected to the time itself and the readers. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, because he's even done a lot of. He's collaborated with Gucci. He was even featured in the Louvre. Speaking of the France connection, as one of five. I think there were 5 artists, and he was the one Japanese mangaka featured. So I mean, the influence is absolutely extraordinary. And you've touched on it already, but like the transcultural elements that he's brought to this piece is so interesting too, because he's so inspired by so many different stories and aesthetics from all over the world, which I think is probably part of its appeal and why it's so unique, you know?
Yeah. I think that JoJo's in general gives the person, if you truly read JoJo's, I think you want to look more into the daily life and just see, like, you know what, there is, even if stuff isn't mysterious at all in some regards, you're like, okay, but those characters, they had resolve and conviction for every day that we go on, you know? And it's just a good old better perspective of what life can be and what life is when you have a good support system, when you have community. It just hits that right note. I think Dragon Ball is like push yourself to be something that's already within you, you know?
Yes.
I think JoJo is like, for sure you're allowed to push yourself. Like that's what it is. It's to be human. You can also chill, you know? You don't have to do anything. You can do whatever you want. It's life. Just live at the end of the day.
Interesting. That is so interesting. And I sort of want to touch on the anime adaptation, because it is fascinating to me when you look at something like, for example, Berserk, right? Which unbelievably intricate drawings. Araki, unbelievably intricate drawings. But I mean, Berserk has suffered trying to turn that into an anime. We've never even gotten Vagabond because Takehiko Inoue's art style, famous. It was like everyone said, well, it's going to be too difficult to make into an anime because it's so picturesque and beautiful. How do you find the anime adaptation? Do you think they do a pretty serviceable job compared to the art style in the manga?
In terms of the differences between manga and anime, I think the truth of the matter is that if you're a manga reader, you're a manga reader, and that's you just respect the line, because there's only so many things that can be recreated in the anime. And I think that when it comes to stylization, they do really well with JoJo's. And I think where animators are allowed to be animators, that's when people like it the most. And the funniest thing is like, okay, that's not JoJo's originally, but this is anime JoJo's.
Interesting.
Every part has something to where it's very unique. There's certain shots in like parts 1 and 2, because they came out together. It was a collective thing, and it was just called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure then. But they have this moment where it's like a manga panel, and it's like, oh, the colors change, there's patterns, and it's like, oh, okay, wow. And there's a lot of stuff like that for the next the next anime. Like, okay, this is a dynamic shot we've never seen in the manga. And they don't connect. I think of like on a scale of 0 to 10, you know, like on how Araki something is, you know, his manga is going to be a 10, right? The JoJo's anime is like, I'd probably say 1 and 2 is probably like a 7 in terms of how Araki it is. and the later ones get like to 8, 9 category, but they never truly get to 10 because it's all like there's nothing more Araki than the hands of Araki in this case. But it's good to have your own thing. I think that's the large thing for me with the anime, because there are moments where they're like, hey, this wasn't adapted. And it's like, yeah, but like, okay, you know, they made this though. Like they created this scene where it's like, I've never seen, the Jotaro didn't do this. He didn't have this panel in the manga. This shot is amazing. And there has to be this respect for it, because I think when you have something like an anime that's been around for this long, people should be allowed to have certain liberties. Like that, of course, like that has to be the case, because, you know, Dragon Ball and its manga, like they don't connect 1-to-1, but they do have like certain frames where they're like, this was the manga, like a specific one during the animation sequence. But I believe in pushing the envelope in what it has. I think in terms of what JoJo's has given us in terms of the anime, they've created their own thing, but it's still great, and I appreciate it.
That's so refreshing to hear, because I think that, like, obviously they're just different mediums in that way, anime and manga, and adapting it like something to motion, something to be like narratively hitting these notes and like different animation things is necessary. And I think some people get a bit hung up on like very, you know, loyal adaptations of something. So yeah, I think it's cool to hear that. It's refreshing because it's true.
Look, that's my thing with people. They're like, oh, I really want 1-to-1. I want 1-to-1. I want 1-to-1. You know, like, and that's sometimes the studios do listen, and I'm not saying, look, being an animator is for sure of, but when people see the slideshow moments in certain anime, they're like, this isn't what I wanted. And I'm like, hey, it's drawn extremely accurately though. Like, it's like, hey, look, they did 1-to-1 of what you asked. They took no creative distinctions of their own, no liberties. They did exactly what you wanted. And you're like, this is this, but it wasn't good. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. That's what you get. Like, you paid for the sandwich. Like,
yeah, Blue Lock season 2 definitely rings true. Because also, what I guess something that JoJo doesn't really get enough credit for is that it is the longest running shonen manga ever. It's been running since the 80s, so like over 36 years, and then to contextualize, One Piece only for like over 20, 25, 26 years, you know? Like, so
yeah, since 97, yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy, the staying power. But I guess as you mentioned before, he takes his time a bit more. It's not weekly releases like One Piece, which is insane that Oda has kept that up for as long as he has. It's ludicrous.
No, really, it is.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I suppose the benefit, I guess, of the monthly release for Araki is that he has, and because it's intergenerational, and as you mentioned before, the fact that he gets to take his time and evolve with it is so unique too, right? Like, it's so interesting.
Yeah. No, of course. I really do like the fact that we can kind of see where Araki is in terms of his character, because when we have certain parts of JoJo, you're trying to see like more, oh, this is really in depth when it comes to the politics of like of the gang in this case, or something like this. Just this in general, like it takes a lot more effort to care and be informed about certain things before you write it. And I think that because he's given himself time in general, he's able to just breathe more when writing. And I think that matters a lot. I think because we've seen so many authors in general where they're just like this, they're writing books, but you know, we leave, you know, like let's just walk outside. I'm going to go to dinner, going to go do this, going to do that. But when it comes to like producing weekly manga, it, you know, you got to always keep it going. It takes a lot out of you. And I never want someone to sacrifice his own life for the sake of creative decisions or something like just to we can get this out faster. And it's like, no, JoJo in general, like that's kind of why, like when I tell people like, hey, look, I stopped at part 1, or I'll come back later. I stopped at part 3. I'll come back later. I'm like, yeah, come back later because you don't live. Like you can come. It's an anime. It's a manga. You can come back anytime. Like it's not gonna leave you. Don't worry. Like I believe in going out there because the author is telling you, bruh, if this is an ode to life, what do you think I want you to do? Before you can read this at the end of the day, you can watch it at the end of the day, but I kind of want you to live, like see, like it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in the book, but what's your adventure look like in real life?
That's a really good way to put it. So I guess before we finish up, and also thank you so. This has been so fantastic.
So
by the way,
good, thank you.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's been so great.
It's so fun.
So I guess if you could give one pitch, you just pretty much did it then, but I guess why should someone who's never watched JoJo's watch JoJo's in like a little elevator pitch to people, just as a final like, hey, here's why. I mean, I think you kind of covered it pretty well there with the ode to life. It sounds like such a great anchor point for why and what makes it so special.
A pitch. Let me think. If I was to truly, I have to talk like I'm a screenwriter. Well, I am kind of, but it's like, if I'm going to recommend JoJo's Bizarre Adventure to anyone that's hearing this and all, look, you've seen how big the Odyssey was, right? It's a pretty large journey. And a lot of people liked it. It was very large. I'm just saying, we have had 9 parts of JoJo's, and there is only one Odyssey. There's a lot more to work with here, people. I'm rooting for Araki in this case. I'm sorry, Odysseus. This is the journey that we are on. Please pick this up.
Well, that's perfect. That is perfect. Mate, honestly, thank you so much for sharing your extensive knowledge and passion about JoJo's. It's you've moved us, that's for damn sure. And it's been great. So please check out Kaleb's YouTube channel. It is outstanding. There are so many videos where he talks extensively about JoJo's and other things, but honestly, thank you so much. This has been brilliant. And
of course.
I want to get you back on once I've watched JoJo's because I'm sure I want to just
I would love to. Please keep me updated for y'all's journey. I would be so happy to see it. I would love to talk about everything.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, thank you, everyone. We always appreciate you joining us. And of course, if you like what we're doing, you can find us over on Instagram, TikTok. Hopefully you're watching us on YouTube, but if you're listening through the podcast platforms, it does help to give a little 5-star review on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts. And if you really like what we're doing, you can find us over on Patreon, where we do special early releases, special episodes, as well as behind the scenes footage. But thank you, Kaleb, so much. And Charlie, thank you. And hey, we'll see you all next time. All the best.